They wandered for 200 years looking for a sign. An eagle, a cactus, a serpent. Then it appeared. And here's what nobody tells you. The sign didn't build the empire. The sign just showed them where to start digging. Listen up. This is about the Mexica people, the ones who became the Aztecs, and they were nobody, absolute zeros, wandering the desert like lost dogs while every other tribe looked at them like garbage. But here's what separates champions from losers. They had a vision. Their god Huitzilopochtli promised them greatness, but promises mean nothing without execution. For 200 years, they wandered. 200 years. You think your life is hard? These people walked through hell searching for a sign, an eagle perched on a cactus, devouring a serpent. But here's the truth. Nobody tells you. They didn't just wait for the sign. They kept moving. They kept surviving. Greatness is built, not given. You want results? You better be willing to bleed for decades. Every powerful city-state in the Valley of Mexico told them to get lost, kicked them out like stray dogs. The Culhua people rejected them. The Tepanecs used them as mercenaries, then threw them away. Nobody wanted these people. They were the rejects of their era. Sound familiar? Good, because that's where champions are forged. But the Mexica had something nobody else had. Relentless hunger. They became the most savage warriors anyone had ever seen. When the Tepanecs needed dirty work done, the Mexica didn't complain. They delivered. They fought like demons. And slowly, people started to respect the name. Not love it, respect it. There's a difference. Then they got permission to settle in the absolute worst piece of land imaginable. A swampy, snake-infested, mosquito-ridden hellhole on Lake Texcoco. Other tribes thought it was hilarious. Let the losers drown in the marsh. But here's what weak people never understand. Vision must be stronger than circumstances. The Mexica looked at that swamp and saw potential. And then it happened. Year 1325. The sign. An eagle, perched on a cactus growing from a rock, devouring a serpent. The prophecy, the promise fulfilled. But listen carefully. This is where most people get it wrong. The sign didn't build the city. The sign didn't create the empire. The sign just showed them where to start the real work. Divine signs still demand human effort. You think they sat around celebrating? No. They went to work. They drove stakes into the swamp. They built chinampas, artificial islands made of mud and reeds. They turned water into land. They didn't wait for someone to save them. They saved themselves through pure grinding effort. Tenochtitlan, the place where the cactus grows on stone. From nothing, they built one of the greatest cities the world had ever seen. Stone temples rising from the swamp. Causeways connecting to the mainland. A grid system more organized than most modern cities. While other tribes mocked them, they were building an empire. And here's the key. They understood systems. They built canals for transportation, chinampas for food production, a warrior culture for protection, a religious hierarchy for unity. They didn't just survive. They created a machine, every piece working together. That's how you go from refugee to ruler. But let me be clear, they didn't build their empire through kindness. They built it through dominance. Every young Mexica boy was trained as a warrior from childhood. Capture enemies or die trying. That was the culture. Meritocracy through blood. The weak stayed weak. The strong rose to become eagle and jaguar warriors. no participation trophies. For the first 100 years, they played the game smart. They paid tribute to the Tepanecs who ruled the valley, bowed their heads, smiled. But the whole time, they were learning, studying their enemies, building alliances, growing stronger, patient like a jaguar stalking prey. Weakness is temporary, preparation is permanent. By 1400, Tenochtitlan was thriving, population exploding, markets filled with goods from across the valley. But they were still tributaries, still servants to the Tepanec Empire, and that ate at them, because once you taste success, serving someone else becomes intolerable. The hunger for independence became unstoppable. Then the Tepanec king died. His son Maxtla took over, a tyrant. He doubled the tribute, humiliated the Mexica leaders, and that was his fatal mistake. You can squeeze people, you can tax them, but when you humiliate warriors, you create your own destruction. Maxtla thought he was showing strength. He was showing weakness. It's Codal. Remember that name. The Mexica leader who said, "Enough." In 1428, he stood before his people and gave them a choice: rebel and possibly die as free men, or keep living as slaves. The weak argued for safety. The warriors chose freedom. And when you make that choice, there's no going back. You win or you die. The Tepanec War. Outnumbered, outgunned, but not outworked. The Mexica formed the Triple Alliance with Texcoco and Tlacopan, two other city-states sick of Tepanec tyranny. Together they crushed Azcapotzalco. Maxtla fled like the coward he was. And just like that, the slaves became the masters. That's what happens when you combine vision with violence. 1428, the birth of the Aztec Empire. From that moment, the Mexica weren't just survivors. They were conquerors. Itzcoatl became the first true emperor, and he did something brilliant. He burned the old history books, literally, rewrote their entire past to make them descendants of gods. That's marketing. Control the narrative. Control everything. Under Montezuma the Firm, they conquered everything. From the Gulf Coast to the Pacific, millions of people paying tribute. Gold, jade, cacao, feathers, slaves, all flowing into Tenochtitlan. The city that rose from a swamp now controlled an empire of 5 to 6 million people. In less than 100 years, they went from nothing to everything. By the late 1400s, Tenochtitlan was one of the largest cities on Earth. Population, 200,000 to 300,000. Paris had 100,000. London had 50,000. The Mexica had turned a swamp into a metropolis. 3 massive causeways connecting to shore. Aqueducts bringing fresh water. A market in Tlatelolco where 60,000 people traded daily. This wasn't luck. This was execution. But it wasn't just about conquest. It was about belief. The great temple, Templo Mayor, stood at the city's heart, dedicated to Huitzilopochtli and Tlaloc. Human sacrifice? Absolutely. Thousands of captured warriors. The Mexica believed the sun needed blood to rise each day. You might think it's brutal. They thought it was necessary. Winners don't apologize for their methods. And while everyone focuses on the violence, they ignore the genius. The Chinampas, floating gardens, produced 7 crops per year. 7. The rest of the world was lucky to get 2. They understood something fundamental. You can't build an empire on warfare alone. You need food. You need infrastructure. You need systems that work while you sleep. Education. The Mexica had mandatory schools. Colmecac for nobles, teaching astronomy, mathematics, rhetoric, history. Telpochcali for commoners, teaching warfare, crafts, citizenship. Every child educated. Every child with a purpose. Compare that to medieval Europe, where 95% couldn't read. The Mexica understood. Strong people build strong empires. And here's what's powerful: social mobility. A commoner could become nobility through merit. Capture 4 enemies in battle. Congratulations, you're now a noble. Your children go to better schools. You get land. You get respect. It wasn't perfect, but was better than most European systems where you died in the class you were born into. Performance mattered. When the Spanish arrived in 1519, they couldn't believe what they saw. Bernal Díaz del Castillo, a conquistador, wrote that Tenochtitlan was more beautiful than anything in Europe. The marketplace had more variety than Rome. The organization exceeded anything in Spain. These savages had built something the Europeans envied. Remember that. Montezuma II, the emperor when the Spanish arrived, he ruled an empire at its absolute peak. His palace had 300 rooms. He never wore the same clothes twice. When he walked, nobles swept the ground before him. He ate off gold plates while 300 dishes were prepared for each meal. From swamp to supreme power in less than 200 years. That's what vision creates. But here's where the story gets complicated. Montezuma was smart, educated, powerful. But when Cortés arrived, he hesitated. Why? Because of a prophecy about Quetzalcoatl returning. He confused superstition with strategy. He gave the Spanish room to operate. And that hesitation, that's what killed an empire. When you have power, you must act. Hesitation is death. The Spanish had guns. They had steel. They had horses, animals the Mexica had never seen. But the real weapon? Disease. Smallpox killed 40% of the population before the real fighting even started. You can be the strongest empire on earth, but you can't fight enemies you can't see. Sometimes, circumstances are genuinely beyond control. That's the harsh truth. Cuauhtémoc, the last emperor, fought like a demon. After Montezuma died, killed by his own people or the Spanish, history isn't clear. Cuauhtémoc refused to surrender. He defended Tenochtitlan street by street, house by house. For 93 days, the siege lasted. The Spanish and their 200,000 indigenous allies slowly destroyed the city. But the Mexica never quit. They fought until there was nothing left to fight for. August 13th, 1521, Tenochtitlan fell. The Aztec Empire ended. But here's what they don't teach you in school. The city never really died. The Spanish built Mexico City on its exact foundations. Those causeways? Still there. The layout? Same grid system. The Mexica built so well that their conquerors had no choice but to use their blueprint. That's immortality. So what's the lesson? 3 things. First, greatness is built, not given. The Mexica wandered for 200 years. They were rejected, humiliated, beaten down, but they kept building, brick by brick, day by day. Nobody gave them an empire. They took it through relentless effort. Second, vision must be stronger than circumstances. They looked at a swamp and saw a capital. They looked at servitude and saw empire. Your circumstances don't define you. Your vision does. And third, divine signs still demand human effort. The eagle appeared. The prophecy came true, but they still had to dig the canals, build the temples, train the warriors, fight the wars. Opportunity without work leads nowhere. The Mexica understood that. Do you? Now get to work.